Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about my emulating a pro photographer project. The pro photographer that I chose to emulate is Henrik Knudsen. He is from Denmark and is most known for his narrative work. Another thing that inspired me from his work was his use of lighting to create contrast. That is something that I hope to keep using in my photos from now on because it helps to draw your eye to the picture. For this project, I wanted to create a picture of something that he's inspired by, which is film and cinema. So I decided to take a picture of a theater. That theater is Woodstock Classic Cinemas Theater in Woodstock, Illinois. For the shot diary, I ended up writing down 4 different shots I thought would be best to represent this. So the first one I want to do is a eye level shot of the theater, and then I also want to do a low angle shot of the theater. I also want to do the same 2 shots, but with long exposure. I ended up using long exposure for most of my photos because it gave the most light. I then chose the 4 best photos I took and edited them in Photoshop to best represent Henrik's style. For the first 2 photos, I ended up opening them in Adobe Camera Raw and editing the colors so that they had more contrast with each other. I then dehazed it a little because it added more detail. And then also I added a vignette to darken the edges. I then opened these in Photoshop and using the Smart filter, I ended up adding another vignette on top of it to enhance the one that was already there. For the 3rd photo, I decided to edit them the same way with Photoshop and Adobe Camera Raw, but I ended up saving the Adobe Camera Raw settings as a preset so that I could use them on the next one. I then opened it in Photoshop and added 2 adjustment layers, one for vibrance and saturation and the other for brightness. By doing this, I ended up making it so you could see the detail on it, and it ended up making it a better photo as a whole. With the 4th one, I did the same thing, but this time I used that preset I made. And then I ended up doing the same adjustment layers as the 3rd one, and ended up turning out really well. I just noticed that around the lights there was a few spots that could have been a little more detailed, so I ended up at the end adding another Smart filter for Camera Raw of more dehazing because it just needed help clarify that detail. In the end, I had to decide between those 4 to decide what one best represented Henrik. The one I chose was the last one because it had the most detail and you could focus on the picture even more. So without further ado, here is that picture. With this project, I learned how to have a good workflow, and it ended up helping me in the end to create things quicker. By having a workflow, I was able to make my images more consistent, and it really helps. I hope to keep using that in my future projects. Something I would like to improve on is better planning out my shots so that I can have the same shot in a few different ways, because it might actually end up helping me to give me a choice to decide what will work best. This project was actually really fun. I actually enjoyed it a lot, especially since I got to take a picture of a theater, because I am also inspired by film and cinema. So it was kind of nice to be able to do that. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed the picture I took.